Water treatment sounds boring, but it's one of the most important things you can do to protect your outdoor furnace from rust and corrosion. The first few drops that are added to your outdoor furnace need to be treated water. Now, treated water, what that means is mixing your source water with the proper amount of Corrosion Inhibitor Plus and MolyBoost. Treated water is necessary for all outdoor furnaces and is especially important for stainless steel outdoor furnaces. The central boiler uses high-grade steel and stainless steel in their outdoor furnaces. But even high-grade metal is susceptible to corrosion if untreated water is used. Steel feels smooth, but under a microscope, it's actually a mountainous range of peaks and valleys. If untreated water gets in a valley, it may never get out. This untreated water attacks the metal. Corrosion can start and lead to failure of the metal. Even if water treatment is added later, it may never wash out the untreated water in the valleys of the metal. This is why it's essential that the first drops of water that you add to your furnace are treated water. This treated water creates an impervious oxide film to protect the metal and increase the life of your outdoor furnace. Treated water in your outdoor furnace is just as important as the oil in your car engine. There are 3 ways to add treated water to your outdoor furnace. You can add it indoors near the thermostatic valve. The second method is on the drain valve on the furnace itself. And the third method is through the vent pipe on top of the furnace. Whichever method you choose, it's important that the Corrosion Inhibitor Plus goes in first. For this demonstration, we'll use method 1, adding it through the return line as outlined in your installation guide. This will also make it easier to purge the system of air once you've completed the initial fill-up. Start by adding 1 gallon of Corrosion Inhibitor Plus in the pump jug that's available from your central boiler dealer. Close these 2 valves near the thermostatic valve to ensure the chemical goes back to the outdoor furnace through the return line. Attach the pump jug nozzle to the drain bib and open this valve. Pressurize the pump jug and add the entire contents to the furnace through the return line. If more Corrosion Inhibitor Plus is needed for your furnace model, add it to the pump jug and repeat. The nitrites in Corrosion Inhibitor Plus help protect the metal in your furnace from corrosion. MolyBoost helps the corrosion inhibitor work even better by keeping these nitrites in balance. Add about 1 ounce of MolyBoost for 10 gallons of system water. For our Classic Edge 750, we'll add 1 quart of MolyBoost. Add a little water in the pump jug with the MolyBoost to help it mix better in the furnace. We repeat the process to add the MolyBoost to the outdoor furnace through the return line. Once the correct amount of MolyBoost has been added to the system, close the valve and remove the pump jug. Next, fill the outdoor furnace with pressurized domestic water and purge the air from the system as outlined in the installation guide. We have labeled the valves in this portion of the video to match the illustrations in the installation guide. Valve 1 is the domestic water source on the water heater. Valves 2 through 5 are near the thermostatic mixing valve, and valve 6 is the optional seasonal manual bypass valve. We will also be referencing the valves on the supply and return lines on the outdoor furnace. Before using the valve on the water heater to fill the furnace, flush the water heater to remove all sediment. Use a backflow prevention valve with 2 3/4 inch female hose to male pipe adapters on the water heater. Connect the male end of a garden hose to valve 1. Connect the female end of the garden hose to valve 2. Close the valves on the hot supply and return lines of the outdoor furnace. Close valves 4 and 5. Open valves 1 and 2. This step begins filling the system with domestic water and purging the hot supply line and thermostatic valve. Remove the cap from valve 3 and open valve 3 slightly to purge the air from the thermostatic valve body. Close valve 3 when the air is purged. Next, open valve 5 and open the valve on the hot supply line of the outdoor furnace. Water will purge the air from the hot supply line. The valve and attached fittings on the outdoor furnace will become cold as water starts filling into the outdoor furnace. Do this for 5 minutes and then close the valve on the hot supply line of the outdoor furnace. Next, close valves 5, 2, and 1. Move the garden hose from valve 2 to valve 3, then open valves 1, 3, and 4. If your system has a seasonal manual bypass valve, make sure valve 6 is positioned to direct water through the heat exchanger first. Next, open the valve on the return line of the outdoor furnace. If If your system has a seasonal manual bypass valve, turn valve 6 to the bypass direction for 30 seconds. Then turn the valve back to the previous position. The heat exchanger manifold and fittings will become cold as the water flows through the heat exchanger to the outdoor furnace. Use the sight gauge to determine when the outdoor furnace is filled. Close valves 1 and 3, disconnect the garden hose and the backflow preventer and replace the caps on valves 1, 2, and 3. Open the valve on the hot supply line of the outdoor furnace and valve 5. Start and run the pump or pumps for 24 hours and then perform a water test. At this point, the valves on the hot supply and return lines of the outdoor furnace and valves 4 and 5 should all be open, allowing the pump to circulate heated water in the system. Now that we've added the Corrosion Inhibitor Plus, the MolyBoost, the water, and purged the system, we need to heat up the water. Now the reason we need to heat up the water is because there are certain types of microbes that may want to eat the nitrites in the corrosion inhibitor. When we heat the water up, we kill those little bugs. After you heat up the water to operating temperature, if you're not going to continue to use the furnace at this time, clean out the firebox and reaction chamber. Any questions you may have could be answered through the DVD that came with your furnace, your owner's manual installation guide, centralboiler.com, or your local Central Boiler dealer.